Patrick, some more sad news. We learned of the sudden passing yesterday at the age of 72. Henry Boucha, I think it's safe to say, Minnesota hockey legend.
Legend of the first magnitude for high school. Anybody who saw the first state tournament I watched and covered in 1969 at Met Center, he made it. I think when it was in St. Paul, it was a nice little thing. The hockey was not widespread in the state, but it came to Met Center. You had War Road versus Edina in the finals. You had Henry, this legend who became an instant legend almost that winter. His defensive partner was Alan Hansleben, who played 500 and some games in the WHA and the NHL. So, they never left the ice, those two guys. And they end up playing Edina in the finals. And of course, Henry got run into the boards, knocked out. And what we had was 3,000 Edina people and 12,000 people screaming at Edina with a hatred as if it was Bobby Knight Badger Bob Johnson bringing Wisconsin in. It was unbelievably. I haven't covered a lot of hockey tournaments since, and I said I never really had to, but I covered the best one ever. If you look at the field for that tournament, it's unbelievable. And it was just a crazy, wild night. And they were down 2 goals when Henry got hurt, and they came back and tied it and took it into overtime. These plucky little War Road guys. It was fantastic. But he was, yep.
So, Pat, did that two things? Did that put the tournament on the map as far as a TV event? That because I grew up with it being a huge TV event too. And the second thing is, was that the night that we all started to hate Edina unless we lived there?
Well, they had never won it. That was the first year they ever won it. They had not won it. They'd been there a lot. They already were the cake eaters though, because
okay.
There was people, because they were so good they were so successful in other sports too, like football and basketball. They'd won 3 straight state titles. So 66, 67, and 68, they won basketball titles. So we resented them for that already. And then this came along. But hockey had this love of the range and the blue collar kids coming up from the back door. And I already talked to Dean Blaze and Mackey Antonovich this morning. Blaze was International Falls had the dynasty, and then Blaze was the next generation, and he was their superstar in 69. 68, they beat Greenway in the region final, and then Greenway came in the back door and won it with Anton. And then 69, War Road got beat in the region 8 final by hated Rosso, and then they came in the back door and made it to the final. But the back door, Declan, used to be region 7 and 8. There was no region 3, for a hockey. Nobody played hockey. So region 3 was the back door between the 7 and 8 runners up. And the back door game on Saturday night was like legendary because they were great teams from both places. And that's how War Road got there. But I'd seen Henry that winter playing at SPA and at Drake Arena the first time I'd seen him. Cold old arena, middle of winter, and it was a different breed of hockey player. But here's what's interesting: is the Gophers had Blaze, Antonovich, and Henry were going to be their freshman class. Henry was committed. They couldn't get him in school. Can you imagine? This is 1969. Can you imagine not getting a Native American kid into school in modern times? They were, there was no, the idiots didn't, we had all these people who couldn't wait to flunk somebody out back then. And, and you had to get out of general college after 2 years to get to another college. but their recruiting class would have been Blaise Antonovich and Boucha, and they played together in the Bramer Summer League down here because the Gophers spent all summer, Sonmore and the guys spent all summer trying to get him in school. And some guys out there wouldn't, they wouldn't admit him. So he had to go up and play in Western Canada. And that was the first of his, he got knocked out of the state championship game, but then he couldn't go to the U. Imagine, and I'm going to kind of write this, what a hero he would have been if he'd played 3 years for the Gophers.
Right.
After his reputation as a high school player, because he kind of disappeared for us for a couple of years because he played in Western juniors and stuff like that. And he was on the 72 Olympic team too. You know what the idiots did for the 72 Olympic team? They had them play Central League opponents to toughen themselves up. So all the Central League opponents took runs at them and, beat them up and stuff. What a way to prepare.
Yeah.
You're going to go play international hockey where they don't let you hit each other. And they have them, playing 40 games against the Central League and getting mugged. It's stupid beyond belief. But Henry was, I don't think there's ever been a high school player of over more publicized than him, and it could have been so much more. He kept running into bad luck. He had an admitted alcohol problem. He was a alcoholic for a while after his NHL career went to hell. But Dave Forbes taking his eye out at Met Center. Just a lot of bad luck. We had him as a guest a couple of times in the studio on the show, 2-3 times, and he was always there. Somebody was working on a documentary that I don't think ever got made. There was a book that I think he might have gotten going, but he was always trying to look ahead for that next thing. And then I talked to 2 guys this morning, last night, and they saw it. Well, Jess Myers was one of them, and then these two. And Blaise saw him 3 weeks ago at the War Road golf tournament and said he looked really bad. He was frail and kind of bent over. And Henry just said, "I feel terrible." And so whatever it was, he, we're all surprised down here, but I guess people who'd seen him in War Road were very concerned about his health. So, and it's 72 he made it to, but. Trained on the War Road River, baby. Go out there. Native American kid, an Ojibwe kid, go out there and skate up and down the river like the wind. He was something. Big, strong guy, too. Big, strong guy. So.
Pat, the magic number down to 5 for the Twins, and it looks like they can't now clinch it in Cincinnati, but they will be able to have the possibility of clinching it now at home when they return home from the Cincinnati road trip.
Yes. And Correa, well, they will be doing it without Correa for a while. I would guess. What do you think, Jets? That he won't play for a week, and then he might play the last weekend to get his foot back in shape. If they don't need him, but he said he heard something pop. But supposedly, plantar fasciitis, if it pops, it's good, right?
Yes.
So I don't know if it tears, it's good, but we don't know if it tore or not. But he's, whatever you want to say about him, he's played more games than anybody on a club. So it's not like hey, my foot hurts, get me out of the lineup. It just, obviously he felt something that he hadn't felt before and left the lineup. But, Cincinnati, the big concern, wouldn't you say, is who's the third starter?
Yes, I was going to ask you that.
It's not Joe Ryan. He's not the way he's pitching. He's probably got one more. He got one more start to prove to them, and he should be the third starter, right? But he's. Last night they were saying on TV that he was LaTroy, who in his own way is okay, observer of the game, and he was throwing a lot of breaking balls, and he couldn't throw strikes with them. Mm-hmm. And then when he throws his fastball, it gets whacked. So, I don't know. It might be Maeda, and I'm not a big fan of that. But maybe if Joe has another bad start, I don't think he's your guy. So I don't know what they're going to do. Same old, baby. Send Pablo or Sonny out there. You got to win game one. It's like sending Johan out in 2006 against Oakland. You got to win game one because we got Boof pitching game two. You can't lose that game. So, but Royce hits another home run. His RBI numbers are, I know RBIs don't count, right? They're really a phony statistic. I'll take 50 some in less than in 50 games. It's unbelievable. How many games has he played now? Has he played 50? I don't know.
Yeah, I think like 55 or 50. It's remarkable.
It's incredible. And Kirilloff hit a home run too. But at Cleveland gave up 4 runs in the 8th or something last night. So they have presented it to us here. There's not a lot of pressure. So
how did they sweep Texas? What the hell happened there over the weekend?
A lot of runs.
What a weird year. The Astros are struggling now. I don't get it.
Oh, Atlanta gets.
Yeah, they got swept.
I mean, they got nothing to play for, but the Marlins bashed them, beat them bloody over the weekend, and then they lost again last night, right? They lost 4 in a row after we were declaring them one of the great teams in history. It has been a weird year of big massacred totals by bad teams. The Rockies beat the Giants in a doubleheader the other day to knock them out. And
I guess the Giants are just absolutely cooked. I guess that they went from being a wild card contender to looking like dog poop. So
the Marlins might make it.
Yeah.
You know, they might.
The Cubs are falling apart too. Don't forget the Cubs.
Yeah, the Cubs are. Yeah, they were like
they got swept
past the Brewers. You know, the Brewers have $114 million payroll, and they're doing it. The bang for the buck. They brought a lot of kids up this year, but we gotta put 600. You see, we gotta put 600 million into the stadium to keep the Brewers in Milwaukee.
Oof.
Otherwise, they can go to Des Moines or something. What are they going to do? Where are you going to go? You know?
So I saw a story this morning, and it looks official, but I'm not sure that that's true. But that the Rays have now reached an agreement to have build a 30,000 seat covered stadium, but it's still in St. Pete, which, as you've always said, is the worst place to be.
And the problem is St. Pete will not let them out of the lease, and they just don't want to wait. It's only 4 more years now, you know. But St. Pete won't let them go to the other side of the water. I think it's a massive mistake, but they're definitely taking what they can get. But it's going to cost over $1 billion. Didn't I see that?
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
With a small stadium, that's
30,
the new thing, though. 30,000 seat stadium's the new thing. That's what they're going to have in Vegas too, like 30,000 seat dome. That's the deal. Everybody says. You know, we're not going to average more than that anyway. We'll make tickets hard to get, I guess. I don't know. But so are they going to, if it's a new stadium and the Rays, you know what's going to happen, though? About the time they get their new stadium, the formula is going to blow up on them, and they're going to end up winning 65 games for about 4 years because they're not spending any money. So it's you know, they've waited forever. Somehow they are one of the miracles of modern sports. I mean, absolutely. Have you guys been in there? Have you been in there?
I've never been in there.
You got to be in there.
Driven by it.
You got to be in there in February before spring training starts, when they're having some informal workouts for their team, and there's a cheap ass trade show going on out in left field, and they got these guys coming in, and there's boards and buildings and crap sitting all over the place, and it's like it's unbelievable what a dump it is. And they got some tarp covering up the seats, and it's a tarp you wouldn't use to cover up your shed in the back of the house. It's just a crap shed, and it's because the city was trying to put pressure on them so they wouldn't spend any money on the stadium, and of course the Rays didn't want to spend any money on the stadium because they're trying to get out of the stadium. So I think what it does, though, it probably, if they're going to stay there, then it makes Montreal and Nashville the expansion places, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think those are the two most likely.
They keep talking about Salt Lake. Does Salt Lake want a baseball team?
I don't know. It would. How big is it now?
Salt Lake City.
That I don't know, but they're in the mix for. I think they baseball, and there's talk of the Coyotes going there for hockey because the Coyotes still don't have a damn building.
Yeah, well, Salt Lake. Then of course they're going to have to. Are the Jazz happy where they are, or are they trying to get a new building too? Who knows?
That maybe I don't know.
Only 200,000 people in Salt Lake City.
Yeah. I don't. It doesn't work for baseball. I don't think. Although it was a great place for AAA. I went out there once to do a thing on some Twins out there in Salt Lake City. Great ballpark. The owner was an old guy who's now past this veil of tears, Joe Bouzaz. He was a walking example of sexual harassment as I followed him around. I had to leave.
You had to leave?
He told every young lady he ran into how beautiful they were, and he didn't touch them inappropriately. He didn't touch them inappropriately, but he rubbed their, in the front.
That's not good.
But he rubbed their back.
If you're saying that, it's something because you survived the '70s. So my God, that's.
Yeah, I mean, he would have been thrown off the set in Mad Men, for God's sake.
Wow.
He was unbelievable. He was crazy.
Last thing.
I said, Joe, you're going to prison here. You can't be doing
Dalton Risner, we got him. Does Dalton Risner solve all of the Vikings' problems at 0-2?
Hey, the cheap Wilfs. How about the cheap Wilfs? They didn't want to pay him, so they waited. They didn't sign him beforehand. They didn't want to guarantee his contract, right, for the first week. And then they didn't bring him in here for the second week because it was a short week, so they could save another week. Cheap Wilfs. When are we going to start getting the hashtag Cheap Wilfs? He could have been in here last Monday, right?
Yes. Could have been here before the season started, for God's sakes.
Yeah, well, they weren't going to pay him. He probably wanted some money.
I like it.
They didn't want to guarantee him. But this last week, it's a short week. So, hey, he probably won't be able to. We probably won't get him on the field on a short week, so we're not going to pay him for this either. We're going to bring him in next week. How come nobody else wanted him?
That's the question. Yeah. That's the question.
But I think, from the time he was here, we all figured he'd end up here. What is he? Or he must be an ordinary player, which is an improvement on what they have, right?
Yes, he is good in pass protection. He is not as good PFF wise as Cleveland and Ingram in run blocking. That's the issue.
Well, they don't run anymore anyway, so I guess what you want.
You know what might be next, Patrick? A running back might be next. Kareem Hunt. There's talk that the Rams have called them about Cam Akers. They brought Kareem Hunt in training camp.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good politically, would it?
I think they're somewhat concerned about that fact. Yeah,
he's had some issues, has he not? So
yes.
But, well, that would be great. You let Delvin go. I guess Delvin wouldn't take the cut here, right?
No,
that was the problem. If Delvin would take the amount of money he's making now, they would have.
They might have kept him. Yep, exactly right.
Delvin felt betrayed, but they definitely need one. This guy it'll be interesting. They'll try to run some Sunday against the porous Chargers, right? And if that doesn't work at all, they're probably going to have to do something. So they're
absolutely.
not, even if they lose, they're not going to give up because they're going to be 0-3 in the division. We said yesterday, if you get to 9, you're still going to win it. So
did you guys watch that garbage last night? This league, again, it's not good. Like there's a few good teams, but I'll
tell you one thing, that Pittsburgh-Cleveland game was nasty. It was
old time.
It was.
How about Chubb? Oh God.
Wow. Yeah, that's bad. How about though? It's interesting to me that Cleveland and Pittsburgh, they change leagues, teams, they change players all the time. How come if I'm in Cleveland, how come I feel extra hatred for the Steelers? I mean, I'm not from Cleveland. I'm not from Pittsburgh. But last night they were vicious with each other, taking cheap shots. That was a pretty good game, I thought, as far as that was old-timey football. That was. But the other one was brutal.
The answer to your question is partially because you're very intoxicated.
Yeah, no,
While Cleveland
I mean,
and Pittsburgh are playing.
I mean the players. I can see why the fans. Yeah,
Still fun.
Yeah.
The last 3 Monday night games, Pat, have been DeMar Hamlin having cardiac arrest on the field, Aaron Rodgers blowing his Achilles, and now Nick Chubb's leg snapping in a way it should never snap.
Yeah. And they were saying, well, let's hope for the best. No, there's no best when you see that play. It's
oh God, no.
Yeah, no, there's no best. It's I love football players though. You know, some of them cry, some of them weep. He's on the cart. He knows it's done, and it's like, damn it, I did it again. It's it's the trade. It's the it's like it's like when you guys are on the show here and your service breaks out and you can't get on the show. That's like a football player.
Oh no, I start crying. No, I cry.
You cry.
I weep because I can't fix it. I got no hope of fixing it, and I know that. Declan can fix it. I can't fix it.
But where's the great line? I was trying to think of what's the movie I was watching or the TV show I'm watching when somebody said to this woman, crying can be therapeutic. And she said, not the way I do it. She said, I can't remember whose line that was, but that was a fantastic line in some show I was watching.
All right, sir. We will talk to you Thursday.
All right. Good enough. See you, gents.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That, of course, is Royce Unchained. There are now about 4 of them, 4 or 5, Declan, per week. But I want to talk to you about, as the lake season throttles down, trust the world's largest Bennington dealer, Miller Marine and Power Lodge, to protect your passion. Call today about Power Lodge and Miller Marine's limited time winterization special. They're offering free storage with the purchase of a new boat. Get double the value if that new boat is a luxurious Bennington with unbeatable employee pricing stacked on top of the rebates. This is the best time of the year to buy, and there is nothing wrong with fall water on the lakes with beautiful color change cruises. Need an upgrade? They'll store that motor for you as well. Prepare now and bundle up for your boat for a worry-free launch next spring. Pontoon Passion starts at Miller Marine and Power Lodge. Free winter storage with the purchase of a new boat from our buddies. Throttle therapy on and off the water at millermarine.com and powerlodge.com.